The poem I'm going to read today is titled In My Marrow, and it's from my book. It reads, I'm drenched in freedom, soaked to the bone. Even more, it's in my marrow. I brought it from the womb and will take it to the dust. Place chains on my wrist, yet I am free. Make my walls into iron bars, yet I am free. For my mind is unchainable and my heart uncageable. Abdication is my only threat. I am Socrates free. I am William Wallace free. I am William Northrup free. I am Victor Frankl free. I am human. I am free. It's in my marrow. I've referenced that book, The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse, already once in these, and I'll probably do it again more than once. But one of the quotes in that book that really hits me every time I hear it or read it is, one of our greatest freedoms is how we react to things. And I love that because that is our greatest freedom. And as I expressed in this poem, we are always free. Our minds are always free, and it's sometimes hard to find comfort and solace in that, especially when our bodies aren't free or we feel like we are trapped in any capacity. But the truth is that our minds are always free. I'm always struck by Thoreau in his civil disobedience essay. I'm going to read a little excerpt from that real quickly. He writes, again, this is Thoreau, Civil Disobedience. He says, they who know of no pure sources of truth, who have traced up its stream no higher, stand and wisely stand by the Bible and the Constitution, and drink at it there with reverence and humility. Now here's the part. But they who behold where it comes trickling into this lake, or that pool, gird up their loins once more, and continue their pilgrimage towards its fountainhead. When I read that, how that strikes me always, again, this is in his essay, Civil Disobedience. Many of you probably know Thoreau spent some time, I don't know how long it was, in jail for failing to pay some sort of a tax. And he refused to pay it on principle. And this essay came from that. And what I take from that is, we are always free to decide and react what we want to do. Of course, there are consequences. For Thoreau, it was some time in jail. Other people have had more significant or severe consequences. One of my favorite books that I've ever read, and I think everybody should read it, is The Gulag Archipelago by Alexander Solzhenitsyn. It's 3 volumes. I've actually only read the first volume, but it's pretty eye-opening. In there, in this first volume, just to give a brief summary, he spent time in the Soviet gulags back in the day for writing some negative things about Stalin during the war in a letter and a personal piece of correspondence to a friend of his. Anyhow, he talks in that book about what it's like to be arrested by the NKVD, which is the Soviet equivalent of the SS, I guess. What it's like to be arrested by them, interrogation, processing, and then being shipped off to the gulags. But he makes a comment in there as he's talking about the arrests, how they would come and arrest people in these big apartment buildings at night, kind of to cause confusion, catch them off guard. And he talked about how when they would go to arrest these people, they'd bang on these doors and everybody else in the apartment complex would just be quiet, settle down, hoping to avoid notice. And his point was that there is no way to avoid the arbitrary terror that Stalin's Soviet regime presented. It didn't matter if you did anything wrong or not. If they're going to come for you, they're going to come for you. If they needed a civil engineer for some project, some canal project, they're going to go find a civil engineer and they're going to take him on some spurious charges. And so his point was, they were all quiet. Everybody was quiet while everything was happening. And he says in a note, he says, we were more than they were. And I'm paraphrasing here. We were more than they were. What if we had risen up? What if we had come out of our apartments and made them go away? We could have made a difference because we were more. He says, if we had done this, if we'd done that. And in his note, he says, if. And then he makes this comment, we didn't love freedom enough. And I love that comment. I actually have a t-shirt made. It says, we didn't love freedom enough. We are always free. And yes, there are consequences sometimes. But we are free to make the decisions that we feel are right and just. And, well, even decisions we just want to make. We're all free to make those decisions. And that's the point of this poem, is that abdication is our only threat. We have those freedoms, and yes, they may result in, for Thoreau, some days thrown in the city jail or wherever it was. In Solzhenitsyn's or Stalin's, I'll call it Stalin's Soviet Union. The consequences were more severe. Could be a bullet to the back of the head, or time in the hard labor in the gulags. But regardless, we still have the freedom to make decisions, and we get to weigh, the consequences versus of doing and not doing. We get to weigh those consequences, make those decisions, and the only threat to that is abdication. And that is a hard kind of concept for me to grasp sometimes, because it is very scary, but it is the truth. And that is my message, my poem and my message today. And I just want to finish with the words of Townes Van Sant in Fare Thee Well, Miss Carousel, that song of his. He says, I got to read it because well, how long will it be before he sees you own his legs, but his mind is free? So with that, I'll sign off for today. Thanks for listening.